this video, we want to talk about how we travel and camp very affordably in our 6x12 cargo trailer that we converted into a camper.
In 2020, I decided to retire, and I had a work trailer that at that time was 7 years old, but in very good shape, and I needed to retire it too. And we had been doing some tent camping, and Sharon suggested that I convert my work trailer over into a camper. And then looking at what was available in the market at that time for campers and teardrops, and particularly the teardrops, to pay $12,000 or $13,000 for something that I consider to be not much more than a hard-sided tent on wheels, because some of them were that basic that they really didn't offer any amenities, I set out to try and make my work trailer into a camper that was as versatile as what any camper could be, given the size that I had to work with. So we decided to try and build this thing so that it could either be used in a campground where you had hookups, you could use it in a campground where it was pretty much bare bones, or even we looked at it with the intention of being able to go boondocking with it. And that's what we set out to do, and I think that's what we accomplished. Now at the present time, I have a gas generator, and I also have a battery inverter that will provide us with electricity. At the time I built this, the solar was too expensive, and if you went with a basic solar setup, it wouldn't offer enough electricity to run, the heavier electrical appliances. So we opted to go with the gas generator. If we had been looking at spending more time camping or being full-timers, then I would have looked a lot more intently at going solar. And as the prices continue to come down on some of the panels and the equipment, that's still an option for the future, but for the time being, I'm content with where we are electric-wise.
We actually have only about 60 square feet of living space in the camper because we have a false wall in the back where we have a garage area. So it is tiny. We do most of our cooking out back in an outdoor kitchen, and we have plenty of ways to cook our meals. Normally we camp somewhere where there's a bathhouse. If not, we have a shower in the back with an instant propane hot water heater. We also have an emergency bucket for when nature calls, and we just purchased a cassette toilet. We have an instant canopy with walls actually, but on this trip Rick decided to use his makeshift tarp and painter's poles, and it worked just fine actually. So basically we have everything we need, it's just in a smaller space. So now we want to talk a little bit about a few of the places that we've camped at or visited that were very interesting.
I've lived 60 years of my life in probably a 20-mile radius in New Jersey. So I had no idea that this wild of a landscape and a country could be this close. It's only a couple hundred miles away. But it was amazing. It was so wild. The scenery was beautiful. I loved almost everything. What I didn't love was the fly. I got out of the van when we pulled into our spot, and I opened up the back door to start getting stuff out of the van, and I felt something biting me. And I looked down, and that fast had 6 flies on my ankle. And it was like that the entire weekend. They did die down at night.
I spent a good many years as a scoutmaster of a Boy Scout troop. And one of the tasks that I usually partook in was taking the boys for a week to their summer camp each year. And we always would watch the new scouts. One of the indicators that they were not taking care of their personal hygiene and showering was that there would usually be flies clustered around them. But when we got to Kettle Creek, I encountered a whole different breed of flies up there. They looked like a housefly. They were more horrendous than mosquitoes or horse flies or greenheads. They just were voracious, and it didn't matter whether you had just taken a shower or not. As long as you had skin exposed, those babies were going to attack you. So it was a different experience for me to have to encounter those type of flies. And rained prior to our getting there, and it rained hard while we were there. And a lot of the ground was saturated, and so it apparently, when the ground is wet like that, the flies are way more active.
Well, this ends another adventure. Assateaque was absolutely beautiful this year, and it certainly did not disappoint.
Kiss me.
Aw, a shadow kiss. We love Assateaque in Maryland. We've been to both the national park and the state park. So this is in Maryland where they have the wild horses on the beach, and it's beautiful there. So the first year we went was in July, and we camped right on the beach, which was awesome. But the difficult part about it was we had to lug all of our gear to the camping spot. So that was quite a haul, and it was hot. It was so hot. Must have been almost 100 degrees. And it was really intense heat. So the bugs weren't too bad, but it was very hot. That was at the national park. The following year we went to the state park in September, and that was absolutely gorgeous. The weather was perfect. It wasn't too hot. There were no bugs. Everything about that time was just perfect.
Boldt Castle really kind of plays on people's emotions because it's a very sad story. George Boldt was a millionaire hotelier. He was the proprietor of the Waldorf Astoria in New York. And his family, they had a farm up in the Thousand Islands on Wellesley Island. And so he was familiar with the area there. Well, he married a woman and madly in love with her. Just thought the world of her. They had 2 children together. And George bought this island in the middle of the river, and he also bought a piece of ground upriver from it, which they quarried. And they brought stone down the river in barges, and they actually reshaped the island into the shape of a heart. And he then proceeded to start construction of this mansion, intentionally designed to resemble a German castle. During the course of construction, it was, I don't know, about maybe 70% complete. His wife passed away, and he immediately stopped all work on the castle, just shut the project down, and he never returned to the Thousand Islands again after that. So it sat in disrepair. Was getting run down. I think the roof on it had actually collapsed. It was that bad. And the Port Authority up there, some agency, plus a lot of local private groups got together and raised money, and they decided to reconstruct it to make it look like it was actually completed, and to try to make it look like the Boldts actually had lived there.
So we've done lots of camping at campgrounds, state parks. We've done some remote off-grid camping. We've camped on the beach. We've even camped in dry camping in the winter. And we've even camped without the camper. We backpacked and camped overnight on the AT, the Appalachian Trail. Hey, if you're enjoying this video and want to see more videos like this, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps us out.
Flies are all over the surface of the water out here.
And we also camped at places where we could only boat in only. to our campsites.
A little bit about Round Valley. When we first put the canoe in, it was really windy and there were waves in the reservoir, and I was scared. I really was scared, though we had taken the canoe with an outboard motor in the back and the pontoons, and I was actually soaked because the water was coming over into the canoe. Next day, the rest of the trip was fine, but it was rough getting in there. So this is Round Valley. There's Rick. And there's our tent. So here's our campsite.
We live in New Jersey, so we camp mostly on the East Coast, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, New York, Maryland. But we did go to Florida, and that was a great trip.
It's morning, the moon is still up when I look this way, and the other way is a beautiful sunrise.
3 years ago, I never would have thought you'd see me camping in the Everglades. But it was actually a very beautiful place. So we love the outdoors, and we hope to share some of our adventures and tips as we go hiking, fishing, boating, bike riding, camping, or trap shooting.
Still got it.
Despite Rick's showing off there, our intent in this video is not really to brag or to show off. But we're just showing you our travels because maybe these are places you've wanted to go and have never been there. Maybe you want to know how to convert a camper. Maybe you are, for whatever reason, unfortunately incapacitated and cannot get out, and you want to enjoy some of these trips virtually. So that is the purpose of some of our travel videos. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, but one of my intentions is to try to show people that what they may have thought was unaffordable, if you approach it a little differently, becomes very affordable. And you know, we're very frugal people. I've been frugal most of my life, so that I can afford to have as many hobbies as I do. And I like to kind of do things a lot cheaper. You know, don't get me wrong, the idea of going and staying in some hotel suite with room service at $250 a night, I find that attractive, but I certainly don't find it necessary.
I've never done that.
I have.
Well, you haven't taken me there.
Took you to the Madison.
No, that's true. You did, but we didn't get room service.
Well.
But you got a $10 potato. Oh, and we banter sometimes, but it's all in fun. We'll put up some videos of other places that we've traveled to. Again, we've really only been on the East Coast. Hopefully we'll get out west soon, and can't wait to do that and put some of that on here. So we're just living life and having fun. We might be seenagers, but we're not dead yet. Thanks for watching, everyone.